Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Last 90 na?
भाई नाश्ता कर
Yes,
11
plus
बजे
90.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So try to understand. Just I have sent lesson plan to your
Yes.
class. Have you gone through that one? Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
ओके जस्ट मैंने प्लान भेजा था आप जरा उसको देखे हैं कि टाइम नहीं मिला देखने का ना
सर थोड़ा सा देखे थे।
लेसन प्लान व्हाट्सएप पर मैंने सेंड किया है उसमें क्या क्या पढ़ना है हमें वो सारा डिटेल भेजा है हमने ठीक है
यस
ओके तो आप ऐसा करोगे मैं ये अभी शेयर कर दे रहा हूँ इसको जरा एक बार आप रीड आउट करोगे और फिर मैं डिस्कस करता हूँ हेलो
यस
मोशन को सबसे पहले हमें समझना है व्हाट इज मोशन टू डिस्क्राइब the position हेलो आवाज आ रही है
Yes, sir.
टू डिस्क्राइब द पोजीशन ऑफ और आपको स्क्रीन पर जो मैं कंटेंट शेयर कर रहा हूं वो जा रहा है
Yes, sir.
ओके सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी नीड टू नो व्हाट इज मोशन एंड मोशन को समझने के लिए पहले हमें समझना होगा पोजीशन एंड फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस ये सभी चीजें समझनी होगी 9B Bhavitra madam okay just let me check it yes पोजीशन एंड फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस क्योंकि अगर हम स्पेस में कितनी भी स्पीड से चल रहे होते हैं तो हमें पता नहीं चलेगा कि हम मोशन में हैं कि नहीं ठीक है क्लियर वॉइस जा रही है
Yes, sir.
ओके
यस
इसलिए सबसे पहले हमें ये समझना होगा लोकेशन यानी कोई लोकेशन को बताने के लिए हमें कोई ना कोई ऑब्जेक्ट को लेना पड़ता है कि उसके रिस्पेक्ट में क्या पोजीशन है ठीक है और जिस ऑब्जेक्ट को हम लेते हैं उसी को हम फ्रेम ऑफ ठीक है सो टू डिस्क्राइब द पोजीशन of an object we need to specify a reference point called origin or the frame of reference got it
Yes, sir.
okay first thing मोशन को डिसाइड करने के लिए हमें चाहिए एक रेफरेंस पॉइंट जिसे हम ओरिजिन भी कहते हैं या फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस भी कहते हैं क्लियर अब एज फॉर इंस्टेंस let us assume that a school in a village is 2 kilometers north of the railway station and we have specified the position of the school. We have, ये देखो मैं क्लास को तुरंत सस्पेंड कर दूंगा, अभी पढ़ाई के बदले में दूसरा एक्टिविटीज करना शुरू कर दिए हो, इसीलिए ये सब हरकत पसंद नहीं करता हूं मैं। क्यों स्क्रीन पर ये सब लिखा जा रहा है? Yes, try to understand. पढ़ने के बजाय ये हरकत किया जा रहा है, समझ लो। यार नहीं, इसको रिमूव करो स्क्रीन पर जो ये ड्रॉ कर दिए हो, बाकी दूसरे बच्चे को डिस्टरबेंस हो रहा है। ओके, तो now we have specified the position of school with respect to the in this example, is the reference point. Example, the railway station is a reference point, and we could have also chosen other reference point according to our convenience. So in our surroundings, anything can be taken as a reference, and position of moving object can be located, and then we will be able to decide whether object is at rest or in motion. So rest and motion cannot be specified without having frame of reference or a point of reference or reference point. So remember, reference point or frame of reference is very important things to understand about motion. Are you getting? Hello? Yes. Next. Now we have to know about types of motion. So far we have discussed about the frame of reference or reference point or origin, which position of an object can be specified. Now we are able to define what is motion or what is rest. So before going to that one, we first define बहुत शोर हो रहा है।
Hello.
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 ये नहीं करता हूँ. Try to understand. So
Yeah.
next thing is that what is motion? We all have understood about rest. What is rest? So now we are going to discuss about motion. So just like rest, motion is the state of a body or an object in which body or an object is continuously changing its position or location with respect to certain reference point or certain chosen reference point. It's okay. So far we have discussed about rest and motion, as well as reference frame and reference point. Now, next, using all this data, we can now discuss about types of motion. Uh, uh, there are two types of motion, basically, uniform motion and non-uniform motion. Okay? So now we have to understand what is uniform motion. Uniform motion, if a body travels equal distance in equal interval of time, then it is said to be in uniform motion. As for example, a train is moving on a straight track with constant speed 60 km per hour. Motion of the train is said to be uniform. Or in a space, an asteroid is moving in a straight line, then motion of asteroid is said to be uniform, because asteroid is not acted upon by a net unbalanced force over it. So its speed remains constant in space. Next thing, non-uniform motion. Just like uniform motion, we can define non-uniform motion. If a body travels unequal distance in equal interval of time, then motion of the body is said to be non-uniform. Try to understand. If a body travels unequal distance in equal interval of time, then it is said to be in non-uniform motion. Here is by mistake, it is written as uniform, so you must not understand it as uniform. Here it must be non-uniform. Okay. So next thing, example of non-uniform motion is that an asteroid is falling down toward the earth. Is an example of non-uniform motion, because the speed of asteroid is increasing as it is coming closer and closer to the earth. Or an object moving on a curved path is also an example of non-uniform motion. Okay. So in order to understand, now another parameter that is important to discuss about in order to understand or specify motion of an object, distance and displacement. Without knowing these two things, we cannot specify and describe motion. So remember, these are the parameters: distance, displacement, speed, acceleration, time, velocity. All these are the parameters that requires to describe motion. Here, distance and displacement we have to understand. Distance is what? Distance is basically defined as the total path length or actual path length covered by an object from its initial position to final position. Okay? And distance is a scalar quantity. It is always positive, and SI unit of distance is meter. Distance can never be zero. In the same way, now we have to know about displacement. What is displacement? Note of displacement is basically defined as the shortest distance between the initial and final position of an object during motion. It is shortest distance, and distance displacement is a vector quantity. displacement can never be greater than distance, but it might be equal to distance or smaller than distance. Distance can be negative, positive, or even zero. Distance is a vector quantity. Next thing, for example, in order to understand distance and displacement, look at this is the starting point A, and this is terminating point B. And here an object starts moving following these paths like this, and reach to point B. So this is the actual path length. This is the actual path length. And so this is called distance. And distance can never be zero. Now, displacement, shortest distance between initial and final points. That is shortest distance between A and B. So this is the shortest distance from A to B. And it is directed from A to B. Therefore, it is a vector quantity that's direction directed from A to B. Okay. And try to understand here, displacement at a point A is 0 and distance traveled at point A equal to 60 meter. Remember here, an object starts from this place and go to point B and then to point C and then to point D and again return to point A. So total distance covered by object is 3 plus 6, 3 plus 5 plus 3 plus 5. That is 16 meter. But total distance is 0 because object started from A and again reached to point A. So initial point is A and terminal point is also A. So difference between initial and terminal point is 0. Therefore displacement is 0. But here look, distance is non-zero. Distance is 16 meters. So this is the situation and this is the difference between distance and displacement. Common thing in both the case is that SI unit of distance and displacement is meter. Now we have learnt about distance and displacement. Now we have to know about the measuring rate of motion. That is, two object is in motion, then how can we decide that which one is moving fast, which one is moving slow, which one has high content of motion and which one has low content of motion. That can be decided using another physical parameter called speed or velocity. So remember here, speed or velocity is called rate of motion, measuring the rate of motion. So different object may take different amounts of time to cover the same distance. Why? What could be reason? This reason behind that one is that the different object is moving with different rate or different speed. That's why they take different time to cover the same distance. Some of them move fast and some move slowly. One of the ways of measuring the rate of motion of an object is to find out the distance traveled by the object in unit time. This is one of the ways to measure the rate of motion. One of the ways of measuring the rate of motion of an object is to find out the distance traveled by the object in unit time or distance traveled by the object per unit time. This quantity is referred to as speed. So speed is defined as distance traveled by the object per unit time. Mathematically, speed is expressed as ratio of distance covered or traveled to total time taken by the object to cover that much distance. SI unit of speed is distance, meter and time second. So we can say SI unit of speed is meter per second. Meter per second, because we write meter on numerator and second on denominator. So we say meter per second. Speed is a scalar quantity because here distance is itself a scalar and time is itself a scalar. So speed is a scalar quantity. So speed is always positive and can never be zero. And next thing is that if object moves with variable speed, changing speed non-uniformly, in that case we take average speed, concept of average speed. So remember that average speed is defined as average speed mathematically defined as the total distance traveled by a moving object, ratio of total distance traveled by a moving object to total time taken by it. This is called average speed. So average speed is also non-zero. Next physical quantity is velocity. So rate of motion is more meaningful if we specify it, its direction of motion with a speed, which is termed as velocity. So velocity is another physical parameter that describes motion properly. So we have to remember about the velocity. In order to define velocity, just we say that if an object moves in a particular fixed direction, then velocity is defined as the speed with direction, or we can say that displacement traveled by an object per unit time is called velocity. SI unit of velocity will be meter per second, but as displacement is a vector quantity, therefore velocity is also a vector quantity. As in case of a speed, it was a scalar. And just like average speed, we have average velocity, and average velocity is defined as a total displacement traveled by an object to total time taken. And average velocity might be zero, maybe equal, or maybe negative, because it is a vector quantity. So if an object is moving with two various constant velocity, then their average speed is also equal to average of the two speed v plus u divided by 2. Okay, so this is the average velocity, total displacement divided by total time. And if an object have velocity v at any interval of time and a velocity u at the time of starting, then its average velocity equal to v plus u divided by 2. Next, third parameter we will discuss in next class. Okay. So till then, you have to go through the lesson plan that I have sent, and I will send this lecture also onto your WhatsApp number, and then you have to go through that one. Okay.